are you retired? When did you retire?
Okay, Steve, we're good? Okay. Welcome, thank you folks for coming out tonight. Welcome to the planning board meeting regularly scheduled for May 18th, 2026, 7:30 p.m. We have full attendance tonight from the board. Business items, we have minutes from the 4/20/2026 planning board meeting. Any questions or comments on those minutes? Okay, well, let the record show there's no further questions or comments. Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of 4/20/2026.
Motion from Walter,
Second.
second from GD. Walter,
Aye.
Jean,
Aye.
John,
Aye.
Eileen,
Aye.
GD,
Aye.
Steve,
Aye.
and an aye from me. Next up, 2 Walker Road, adoption of resolution of approval for site plan application PSP 26-3, solar photovoltaic panels installed on the roofs of the UV treatment building and the generator building using a rack and rail system, underground electric and equipment pad, 2 Walker Road, Valhalla OP2, zone Department of Water, SUP GE. So this is something this board has reviewed. Our consultant has drafted a resolution. The board has reviewed that resolution, and this is over for 2 Walker Road, which essentially is over by the Grasslands property. Any questions or comments on the resolution that was drafted by our consultant?
I make a motion to adopt the resolution for
Mo-
approval.
Motion from John.
I'll second that.
Second from JD. Walter,
Aye.
Jean,
Aye.
John,
Aye.
Eileen,
Aye.
JD,
Aye.
Steve,
Aye.
and I for me. That's like when I was growing up, my parents always confused one of us. Okay, fourth request for a 1-year extension of site plan resolution of approval number SP 22-02 for the construction of a 10 faculty housing units with single-car driveway, space 2 at the EF Academy, 582 Columbus Avenue, Thornwood, New York, 112.12-1-1. So this one was done years ago, and this is back before us for renewal for a 1-year extension. And what's going on with this one?
So, Mr. Chairman, if you remember, this is faculty housing to
Yep.
accommodate the student enrollment at the facility. That enrollment fluctuates, and it's an international student body, so it's hard to predict. So they haven't had the necessity to retain that faculty up till this point. They expect that it will be necessary in the future, so they don't want to abandon the approval. So they're seeking the extension.
Right. Okay, and I think COVID changed a lot of things for the enrollment of the
It did a
schools.
lot, yeah.
Okay. Okay, any questions or comments on that resolution for a 1-year extension of site plan resolution of approval for EF Academy? Let the record show no further comments. Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve the 1-year extension.
Motion from Eileen,
Second.
second from Jean. Walter,
Aye.
Jean,
Aye.
John,
Aye.
Eileen,
Aye.
JD,
Aye.
Steve,
Aye.
and I from me. Next up is a continuing public hearing. This is the only one that is,
We're gonna do 420?
did I miss something?
Are we gonna do 420 before going to?
No, but we're doing, this is,
Oh, sorry.
we're all, but this is good, you see me. So, no, we're in good shape. This is a continuing public hearing, which means this is an opportunity for the public to speak to us on this particular application, which is 361 Bradhurst Avenue, renewable special use permit, gas filling station in accordance with Town Code 218-33. Application site plan PSP 25-7, location 361 Bradhurst Avenue, Hawthorne, New York. Section block lot number is 112.9-1-4. Zone HH, owner Hawthorne Enterprises LLC, applicant and attorney Zarin and Steinmetz LLP. Welcome, thank you for coming out tonight.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. My name is Vincent Padone with the law firm of Zarin and Steinmetz, here tonight on behalf of CPD Chestnut Market in connection with their application for special permit renewal for their gas station and convenience store at 361 Bradhurst Avenue. Just give you a quick update since the last time we were in front of your board. The applicant has been working diligently with the building department on cleaning up some items on the site, such as trash, debris, firewood. They've added some landscaping, all in an effort to bring the site into conformance with the approved site plans. And as a result of last Thursday's site inspection, we are pleased to report that the inspection passed and all non-conforming items were deemed to be in conformance with that approved site plan. So tonight we are here asking your board to close the public hearing and then direct staff to begin preparing a resolution for approval.
Okay. Any questions or comments from board members?
I drove by today. I can confirm that it's cleaned up and it's looking a lot better. Appreciate that.
Wasn't there some conversation about the landscaping that needed to be addressed, or no?
So according to everything that I know, they did add the landscaping that was missing. Originally, when they went out for the site inspection a couple months ago, it wasn't in conformance with how the original plans looked. And as a result of last Thursday, they were satisfied with the
Okay.
changes that were made.
Okay, so that's why we're glad you came back to us, which is why we asked you to come back to us, because we wanted to make sure that this was done before we move forward. But
Understood.
this is a public hearing, which means I need to ask the public, is there anybody here tonight for 361 Bradhurst Avenue, renewal of a special use permit gas filling station in accordance with Town Code 218-33? So they're renewing their special use permit, which I think is every 7 years?
Yes.
And they have to come back before our board to make sure that they're doing what they need to do. Some things we make them do is clean up the site. If there's debris in the site, firewood, selling things outside of the building they're not supposed to, we get them to clean that up, which they did do. So now they're back before us, and they've cleaned up the site, and hopefully it stays that way, and we'll make sure our resolution reflects that. So anyway, any questions or comments from the community on 361 Bradhurst Avenue, special use permit? Let the record show that there is no further comments on 361 Bradhurst Avenue, special use permit for gas filling station. Okay. So now we have an open public hearing. What is the pleasure of the board with the public hearing?
Make a motion to close the public hearing.
Motion from Eileen. I keep doing this. From John.
I'll second it.
Second from Steve. Walter.
Aye.
Jane.
Aye.
John.
Aye.
Eileen.
Aye.
JD.
Aye.
Steve.
Aye.
And an aye from me. Thank you very much. The public hearing is closed. Now, don't go anywhere just yet. Now, we need to make a decision on what do we do with the application itself now that the public hearing is now closed.
I make a motion that we prepare a resolution of approval.
Motion from Eileen.
I'll second that, but I'd just like to have some fail-safe in there that they're gonna keep the property the way that it's supposed to be. In my opinion, it took a little bit too long for us to get here. So, that if we could have something in there for periodic inspections.
We'll do.
Understood.
Okay, so that's the second with the modification from JD. Okay, Walter,
Aye.
Jane,
Aye.
John,
Aye.
Eileen,
Aye.
JD,
Aye.
Steve,
Aye.
and an aye from me. Okay, thank you for coming out tonight. That's it, you're done, ready to go.
Thank you all for your time.
Okay, next up, we have continuing applications. We do have quick adjustments in this schedule. We have one very quick application. I want to get him out of here. It's probably going to take less than 5 minutes. That is 2 Broadway. Hawthorne, conversion of a single-story commercial structure to a three-story mixed-use storage or residential structure. Application site plan PSP 25-12, location 2 Broadway, Hawthorne, New York. Section block lot number is 112-9-3-10. Zone HHSC, owner 2 Broadway Realty. Applicant architect is Jonathan Valani and Associates. Thank you very much, and I think we've had you here before,
Yes.
so I think we can probably do this.
Should I go through a spiel or no? Nope.
You don't need to go too much into it, just high level, there's a couple open items that you were going to address. Let's look at it from that perspective, if we address the open items that were out there.
So obviously, Jonathan Maloney and Associates, Inc., representing Bridgefront Group, 2 Broadway. We presented prior meetings. Since then, we've met with the engineering, actually with the Cleary Consulting as well as Sal Pinella of the building department. In this particular case, the engineering has already viewed the site and approved the drainage drawings as well as the engineering of the site. We did make one alteration, which we're proposing 4 stories instead of 3 stories. Cleary Consulting has laid out all the variances that are required. I don't know if everybody's looked through the variances, but they're all pre-existing nonconformities as well as design criteria that we cannot meet because we're building upon the footprint of the existing building. So these are obviously things I'm going to have to explain to the zoning board when I do present to them. But as far as planning is concerned, 4-story building, 4 units. Site plan was approved previously, but we increased the size of the building to 4 stories.
Okay,
You just increased the height, right?
The height, yeah.
and we can get into the details of the particulars of all of that in a public hearing. The question that's before the board tonight is, did we dot the i's and cross the t's, and is it ready for a public hearing?
Not yet, so this is a referral to the zoning board, that's all.
Oh,
we need
I'm to
do.
sorry, I jumped the gun a little bit. Referral to the zoning board.
Yeah.
All right, so hold off on that comment.
Okay.
Anything else from you?
No, I think everything depends upon whether I get zoning variances correct, so everybody's, things that we need to work out in planning need to be approved by zoning, I would, previously.
Okay, so here's my take. So we're doing a referral to the zoning board. We can do either a positive referral, negative referral, or no referral at all. Those are 3 options we could do. So let me just kind of outline that to the rest of the board members. What is the pleasure of the board in terms of one of those 3 options?
And Mr. Chairman, just to remind the board that this plan was originally approved with the footprint that's before you today. The change is simply the addition of the extra floor.
I would, as one board member, I'd give a positive referral to the zoning board.
Is that a motion?
Yes.
Okay, so we got a motion from, any other comments or questions from board members? We have a motion from John,
I'll second it.
second from JD. Walter,
Aye.
Jane,
Aye.
John,
Aye.
Eileen,
Aye.
JD,
Aye.
and Steve.
Aye.
And I for me. Okay, we got it in under 5 minutes? I
Oh, that
think?
was great.
All
Thank
right.
you very much.
Okay, we'll go back to our regularly scheduled program, which is proposed 95 Bradhurst Avenue, Blythedale Children's Hospital 3-phase improvement plan, including expansion for long-term care, parking deck, and improvements to site utilities and infrastructure. Application site plan SP-25-02, location 95 Bradhurst Avenue, Valhalla. Section block lot number is 117.17-1-2. Zone R20, owner and applicant is Blythedale Children's Hospital. Engineer architect is Langen Colliers E4H Architecture, and that's it. Thank you for coming out tonight.
Thank you. Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. For the record, my name is Janet Garris. I'm a partner with Del Bello, Dinelli, Weingarten, Wise & Whitaker, here this evening on behalf of the applicant. As you know, we've been before you now for many months. When we were at your meeting last, just 10 days ago, the board closed the public hearing, left the record open for 10 days. I know you received some additional correspondence. I would submit to you that none of that correspondence raises any new or different issues than what was presented to you or what has been presented to you in the past. Just to give you a little bit of a recap, as you know, the property is located at 95 Bradhurst Avenue. It's approximately 12.6 acres. And it's the location of Blythedale Children's Hospital, which was founded in 1891 and has existed on the property since 1922. We are seeking amended site plan approval from the planning board for a 3-phase improvement project. As we've expressed to the board previously, the first phase is the construction of a 1-story parking structure containing approximately 132 spaces. The deck of that structure is approximately 11 feet tall with a 4-foot wall around it, so 15 feet. The stair towers, I think, go to 22 feet. The second phase of that project is the construction of an emergency access ring road around the existing hospital building together with the related infrastructure, and that will provide increased services for emergency access to the rear of the building. The third phase is the construction of a 2-story addition to the existing hospital building, and that's intended to accommodate 44 additional long-term beds. As we've said to you in the past, the approval of those long-term beds is ultimately with the Department of Health. So although we are designing for 44, there would not be more than 44. Depending on what the Department of Health would approve, it could be less than 44. We've made appearances before you now, April, June, July, October of 2025, March, April, and May of 2026. We've responded to comments from your consultants, your town professional staff, as well as relevant public comment. We've addressed traffic comments with your first traffic consulting engineer in July, August, and September. We worked with your town engineer. We worked with NISDOT to address their comments. The town had, as you know, 2 traffic consultants as well as the town engineer review. And as I said to you last month, there have been 5 different professional traffic engineers, including ours, which have reviewed the traffic. Fire and EMS have also reviewed this, and we have satisfied the comments of the town engineer. As I mentioned, we responded to comments from the board, from your consultant, from the public in March, April, and May. With regard to the improvements that we worked out with NISDOT, they include the bus stop pad at the north driveway to be modified to create ADA accessibility there. We've included sidewalk at Bradhurst and Grasslands intersection from the south driveway to the corner, the creation of crosswalks across Bradhurst and Grasslands Avenue, the extension of the sidewalk on the north side of Grasslands Avenue to the existing bus stop. As you know, we're seeking a negative declaration from the board. We've provided you over the course of the last year and a half with extensive materials for your record. You've identified your areas of concern and you've taken a hard look. Now you need to make a reasoned elaboration for the basis of your determination. I'd like to remind you, and as we've said in our correspondence to the board, you are not as a board under the obligation to consider every conceivable impact that's associated with the action. And SECRA isn't intended to fix existing conditions in the area, but rather is intended to help mitigate or eliminate potential significant adverse environmental impacts specifically caused by or arising from the proposed action. We've done that here. We've taken a hard look at the visual impacts, the traffic impacts, the stormwater impacts, and we'd like to remind you that your determination cannot be based on generalized community opposition, speculative assertions or claims, and must instead be based on competent evidence prepared by qualified professionals. The applicant isn't aware of the submission of any evidence prepared by qualified professionals, and in fact, the community has not submitted anything from qualified professionals. Planning board is required to consider the project in the context of the interests of the entire community and not just a few objecting neighbors. We've said previously that Blythedale is nationally renowned, and it's an institution that cares for our most vulnerable population. The project will allow them to create 44 additional beds, which is an indisputable benefit to the community as a whole. That they've been on this property and operating here since 1922 is not irrelevant. It's demonstrative of the fact that they're an essential part of the fabric of the community and that the community has been influenced by its presence since 1922. I'd like to also call to your attention the comments of your CAC chair, who was here at your last meeting. I know he submitted additional comments today, and I'd like to reiterate, and I'm a little disturbed by it, and I would suggest this board should be disturbed by it as well, that the October 20th memo that he called attention to, or that one of the neighbors called attention to, was not a memo of the board. If you look at the first paragraph of that memo, it says, I got an email from Mr. Quigley last night on October 19th. If that board meets on the fourth Monday of the month, the fourth Monday of the month was October 27th. That memo is dated October 20th. It's the day after it was determined that it was received. We've looked for minutes of that board. We've looked for agendas of that board. They are not available online. The remarks from the chair purporting to be speaking on behalf of the CAC were inappropriate in October, as were the remarks last month purportedly on behalf of the CAC, and they're inappropriate and ultra-virus, and quite frankly, it's rather troubling. The CAC here has no legal authority. He has no legal right or authority to communicate on behalf of the CAC absent a meeting of the board, a vote by the board, and a communication from the board. And even if, in fact, they did meet and they did authorize the communication, that communication can be no more than official or personal opinion of its members. The CAC lacks jurisdiction over this matter, and this communication, therefore, is void and of no legal effect and is nothing more than personal opinion. We've written a little bit more about that in our communication to the board, and we believe that you need to take that into account. I'd just like to summarize by saying that, as I previously stated, you've identified your areas of concern, you've evaluated the materials, you've confirmed the sufficiency of the information submitted. You've taken your indisputable hard look. When we asked last month if there was any additional information, or at the last meeting whether there was any additional information you needed, there was no additional information that you requested of the applicant. Given this, we believe that the record demonstrates that there will be no significant adverse impacts, and the preparation of a negative declaration is therefore required under applicable law and regulation. So our team is here this evening. If you have any additional questions, we're happy to answer them.
Any additional questions from the board? I don't think there will be any additional questions at this point. Let the record show there's no additional questions from the board.
I don't have any questions, but I have comments directed to the board.
Okay. So we'll have our dialogue. Okay. Board member Walter Hickey, you're up.
Mr. Chairman, I have a few comments for the board to consider. In reviewing the FEAF signed by Mr. Flanagan on
Walter, do me a favor, just speak up. Can
anybody hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. So to reiterate, I have a few comments, Mr. Chairman, for the board to consider. In reviewing the FEAF signed by Mr. Flanagan on March 14, it was dated March 14, 2025. On page 4 of 13, D.2, project operations, line A, the question is, does the proposed action include any excavation, mining, dredging during construction operations, or both? The applicant marked off no. I believe this is an error, as the application has significant excavation with approximately 10,000 yards of material leaving the site. If the box was checked yes, that would trigger the applicant to respond to 9 more questions. Those questions run down: what's the purpose of the excavation, how much, volume, over what time, the nature and description of the material, will there be on-site dewatering or processing of excavated materials, what is the total area to be dredged, what is the maximum area to be worked at one time, what would the maximum depth of excavation or dredging be, will the excavation require blasting, summarize this reclamation goals and plan. So none of these questions were answered at all. No yes or no, because they initiated their response with a no. Just considering dewatering alone, if they do encounter water after dewater, that could trigger permits. Where is the water being discharged? Is it being discharged into the town sewer? What receiving body of water is taking on this water? Does the water have to be checked for quality. Does it have contaminants? On page 16 of 13, letter F. That's regarding air emissions. They acknowledge there will be, does the proposed action include or will it use on-site or one or more sources of air emissions? They acknowledge yes. They do cite equipment, 18-wheelers for delivery of precast concrete, bulldozers, excavators, crane, delivery trucks for miscellaneous materials. Construction of this magnitude also entails the use of compressors, dump trucks to haul out excavated material, concrete trucks, asphalt trucks, spreaders, all that provide emissions. This site, this area, this neighborhood is wedged in between the Sprain Parkway, Bradhurst, and Grasslands that we've all seen, the traffic on those roads and contributing emissions to this area, particularly this neighborhood. So that's just a statement that this site is not only encounters existing emissions, but there'll be emissions contributing to the say pollution load in this particular area. 6 of 13 still, excuse me, page 8 of 13, letter M, regarding noise. They do acknowledge noise, ambient noise levels during construction, operation of both. They state under I, M, small I, typical construction noise during the construction period, no noticeable increase in ambient noise during operation. This job will also include, say, backup alarms, jackhammers. If they encounter rock, they'll most likely involve hole rams to remove the rock. There's a question later on, later in the FEAF, that mentions rock outcropping. Is there rock outcropping on the site? That question was never answered. Letter J, same page. Will the proposed action remove existing natural barriers that could act as a noise barrier or screen? The applicant checks off no, but there are natural barriers. There's a heavily forested area between Lilac Place and the parking lot. Trees can be considered a natural barrier, and they, according to the applicant project, is to remove all those trees during construction. Letter N regarding lighting, will be outdoor lighting, yes. It goes back to another question. Will the proposed action remove existing natural barriers that could act as a light barrier? Applicant crosses off no, but again, getting back to trees, the trees now do provide a natural barrier, knocking down some of the light that's coming from that parking lot to the backyards of Lilac Place. Letter O, same page. Does the proposed action have the potential to produce odors for more than 1 hour per day? The applicant checks off no. For this type of construction, there is a significant amount of asphalt that produces a very strong odor. That will definitely occur for more than 1 hour per day during the course of the asphalt operation. The project also calls for the installation of a elastomeric waterproofing membrane over the precast concrete. From my past experience, this particular material has the potential to put off a very strong odor as well. Switching over to Secret 617.7, page 20 of 40, letter C, criteria for determining significance. Items, these criteria are considered indicators of significant adverse impact on the environment. And just the list, a substantial adverse change in existing air quality, ground, surface water, quantity, traffic, noise. This is just a statement I'm making that's coming out of SECRA. Also, on SECRA, going to page 21, letter V, the impairment of the character or quality of important historical, archaeological, architectural, or aesthetic resources, or of existing community or neighborhood character is also listed as an indicator. The parking garage in close proximity to Lilac Place could be considered as an indicator of impairment of character for this neighborhood. Lastly, under SECRA letter line XI, changes in two or more elements of the environment, no one of which has a significant impact on the environment, but when considered together, result in a substantial adverse impact on the environment. I have no further comments, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments from board members?
I have a comment, Mr. Chairman. So first, I think it's important to recognize what this application actually represents. Blightdale Children's Hospital is not a speculative commercial development. It's a nonprofit institution that served medically fragile children and families in this community for over a century. The hospital existed long before any of the surrounding residential development and long before any current neighboring property owners purchased homes in this area. Every resident has a right to voice their concerns, and speaking only as one board member, we have taken those concerns seriously. We have spent substantial time reviewing traffic, environmental impacts, neighborhood concerns, and all materials required under SECRA. That is precisely what the process is intended to do, and our responsibility is to evaluate facts, studies, and impacts objectively, not with emotion, rhetoric, or external pressure. What concerns me is when the public narrative shifts away from legitimate environmental review and toward what appears to be leverage or threats. SECRA is intended to protect the environment and ensure informed decision-making. It should not be used as a tool to force outcomes in one way or another. Tonight's decision should be based upon the extensive record before this board, professional studies that have been completed, the legal standards in which we are obligated to apply, nothing more and nothing less. I believe this board has conducted a thorough and responsible review. I also believe it's possible to acknowledge neighborhood concerns while still recognizing the extraordinary public value of an institution that provides critical care for seriously ill children and families. And at some point, we have to be willing to say that a community can responsibly support both residential neighbors and an institution whose mission serves an undeniably public good. I do have one concern that I would like to see addressed as this moves forward, and I think that we do need a better plan for screening of the parking deck. Those are my comments, and if anybody else doesn't, I make a motion for a negative declaration.
Well, let's just make sure there's no other comments. Any other comments or questions?
Yes, what's the road adjacent, is that Armand Place?
Lisa,
No, it's Lisa Lane. You said Lilac.
Armand is
across the street.
across the street, right? That's a fairly new development, right?
No,
No, which is the fairly new development?
that's not Patrick, Ronald,
Ronald,
thank
there
you.
go, okay. So that's a fairly new one, right?
Yeah,
What is that, the last 10 years?
I was on the board when they came through it, yeah,
Okay. When they had to build those houses and there was
yeah.
machines and waterproofing and a lot of stuff that could get off orders with asphalt along that also, right? So that's just one, I just want to know how long ago that was built.
I would say probably 10 to 12 years. I'm gonna guess, my memory could be off, but roughly that,
Okay.
yeah.
Ballpark, yeah.
Okay, any other questions or comments from board members?
Isn't it that a a positive declaration just triggers the EIS. It's not a denial of the project. It's just that they have to look a little deeper into some of the concerns and possibly come up with alternatives that we haven't seen other than, say, screening.
It would require them to follow the EIS process, that's correct.
Right. So it's not killing the project, it's just
Additional review.
review, that's all, see? Okay?
Okay, one last call. I have a comment, but I'll hold off for one more second. Any other comments or questions? Okay. So this application is a tough one for me because we do see the medically fragile children and the work that they do. And I think everybody has said, whether you're opposed or not opposed, the work that happens at that hospital is important. However, I'm struggling with the physical size, bulk, and height of the proposed parking structure, and I think it warrants closer review under SEQR pursuant to 6 NYC RR 617.2 and 6 NYC RR 617C. We as a board are required to evaluate whether the physical dimensions of a project fit into the context of the surrounding neighborhood. The structural mass of this facility is significant enough to require a full draft environmental impact statement. We are not looking at a flat ground level parking lot, but a multi-story parking structure. To understand its visual and spatial impact, we cannot evaluate it in isolation under 6 NYC RR 617.3. We must consider the overall development of the site over time. This 12.6 acre parcel already accommodates a 32,000 square foot building, a 56,000 square foot inpatient hospital, a 12,000 square foot administrative suite, and a 17,000 square foot care unit. The current application proposes an additional, I think, 3 acres of land disturbance, or 3.6, to construct this parking deck alongside a new 2-story building addition. Squeezing a multi-level concrete garage into this space introduces a prominent physical bulk that is out of character, in my opinion, with the low-rise suburban fabric of a halo. The physical presence and massing of a building of this size could permanently dominate the visual landscape for nearby residents on Lisa Lane and Armand Place and Bradhurst and throughout the community. Because the scale of this parking garage and the corresponding loss of remaining open space represents a noticeable shift in the aesthetic and physical character of Mount Pleasant, I'm leaning toward a positive declaration on this particular one. Okay, this particular application, I have personally put in hours and hours and hours and hours of time on this one. And I know the other board members have too, because it's such an important institution within the facility, but we also have to weigh the impact on the community. So it is a tough one, tough with the work that the school does, but also tough in understanding the impact to the community. I think the school does marvelous work. That goes without saying. But with that being said, I'll ask one last time, any final questions or comments from board members?
It seems that all of the problems are related to the parking deck. I haven't heard many people complain about the actual addition. You already have 1.5 times as much parking as required, and you want to have twice as much parking as required. Can you not implement some of those measures that you were going to implement during construction of the garage to make them permanent, have valet? Like, parking is driving this project. I personally don't think I'm going to learn anything new through a DEIS. I think you've given us a lot of information. I don't like all of the information. I also think that the project really hasn't changed despite all the input from the public and from staff and this board. And it's just kind of gotten some trees thrown at it and sidewalks, which are good improvements for the existing. But I feel like the parking structure is driving all the negativity about this. And I wonder how much it's needed, and could the parking be put underground so that you just have surface, or could you use valets to not need that actual parking deck?
Okay. And those are all fair points, and in the SEQR process, if those alternatives could be reviewed, in my opinion, as well. But, okay. I'm going to ask one last time, final questions or comments from board members. We need to schedule a vote in a second or two. Going once, going twice, Going 3 times. No final questions or comments from board members. So with that being said, I'm going to go back to my sheet of board members. What's that? We do have a motion on the table. We do. So we have a motion from JD earlier. And that was, JD, can you just reiterate that?
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to prepare a negative declaration.
Motion from JD.
Second.
Second from John. Okay. Walter.
Nay.
Jane.
Nay.
John.
Yay.
Eileen.
Yay.
JD.
Yes.
Steve.
Yes.
And a nay from me. Okay. Thank you for coming out tonight. I don't think we want to open up that box of... Okay. Okay, next up is not a public hearing. So what does that mean? We're not taking input from the public, and I know we have some people here tonight, but this is not a public hearing, and I'm trying to stick to that tonight. So proposed 420 Nanahagan Road, amend previous subdivision approval for subdivision application PSD 24-1, one lot into 2 lots for the purpose of developing a new single-family dwelling amendment, including changed water service as prescribed by the Westchester County Board of Health. Application subdivision PSD 24-1, location 420 Nanahagan Road, Thornwood, section block lot numbers 107.17-2-16, zone R40. Owner applicant is Nanahagan 420 LLC, architect Spearman Architectural Design, PC, attorney Philip Grimaldi.
Excuse
Welcome.
me, Jim, I'm going to recuse myself as
Oh,
I have
correct.
for a professional relationship.
Thank you. Thank you for coming out tonight.
Good evening, Chairman, members of the board. Robert Buffamati, member, Nanahagan 420 LLC. We were here 2 weeks ago, but we have a full board tonight, so I'll just run through quickly why we're here.
Yeah, the high-level summary.
Yep,
I think
very-
we've seen this before.
Yep, no problem. Really high level. This subdivision was previously approved, but this is an amendment because when it was approved, there was a drinking well. Now it's Department of Health, Westchester County Department of Health is requiring us to connect to town water. There is an existing town-owned water main down Davidson Drive, but it cannot handle another house connection. So this is to increase the size of that existing water main on Davidson Drive from 2-inch to 6-inch for a portion, about a 300-foot portion of it, and then reconnect the existing 2-inch main to that increased size water main. With
Oh.
that,
Okay. Any questions or comments from board members?
So last time that we spoke, we were discussing what the logistics of this were gonna be and how you planned on getting the neighbors in and out while you were doing work.
right, JD, so that's the main reason we're back today. We presented a construction plan. Hopefully you were able to review it. I'll go into as much detail, least detail, but high level, new lot 2, which is proposes a great opportunity, right? It is a fairly narrow street, right? There's no denying that. Without that lot for staging, stockpiling, all the materials, equipment will be staged on that lot. That allows us to keep Davidson Drive and the driveways free and clear. Without that, it would be difficult. We're also proposing, I don't want to call them concessions, but maybe some things that we wouldn't have done otherwise, like only excavating 20 feet of trench at a time. There's a 2-foot wide trench. We're only going to excavate 20 feet long at a time, have road plates sitting right there, able to cover that 20-foot of trench at a moment's notice. We propose in that construction plan that it would not be much longer than waiting for a red light if those construction plates need to be pushed back onto 20 feet or less of trench to allow a neighbor in or out during construction hours. We also propose emergency vehicles was a huge hot topic, understandably. We propose a couple things. First of all, coordinating with emergency services to tell them this is happening. We also show some diagrams to show an ambulance or a fire truck can very easily and safely straddle a 2-foot wide trench if it had to make it down the street. A dump truck a small excavator, a 13,000-pound type excavator, would clear up from that road into New Lot 2 within moments. Certified flaggers, right, to flag any neighbors or any of that through the construction zone when required. There's a couple other things in there, an emergency number at all times in case anyone needed it to be posted, fairly typical. And then we go into the tie-in in Nanahagan, that would require a police, us to play for a police.
And what was the length of time for the work?
In that, we proposed approximately 9 days.
Okay, any other questions or comments from board members?
Are you still cutting the pavement on the street where you're excavating?
We would saw cut first, right? I think we could saw cut the entire excavation first. That doesn't really affect in short term the street, and then when the time comes, excavate the trench little by little.
So the machine you're excavating with, and then the dump truck, is it behind it that you're digging and swinging behind? Then the truck pulls into Davidson Drive and then dumps? So
Right.
you're working your way in, but the truck is always behind the excavating machine.
I understand what you're asking. I think it could be really either way since it's such a narrow trench, right? I think we could load it from the front. It could straddle the trench, right? And to go in and out of New Lot 2, or we could spin it from behind. So depending on.
So if you straddle, then the street is officially closed with the truck straddling your backhoe.
There's no doubt, during physical construction of digging that trench, the road would be blocked for a moment, right? But if we had to clear up, there's full access to New Lot 2 because the trench actually stops at the existing 420 Nanahagan, if you're familiar with the property, the pool. That's where the water main upgrade stops. So the trench doesn't continue to New Lot 2. So yes, the dump truck would drive right off into New Lot 2 to clear up the road, and the excavator would move to the side.
Okay, any other questions or comments from board members? Okay, so tonight is really, the question we had at the last meeting was, we needed a construction management plan. Whether we agree with it or not, that's a whole other conversation. Each person on the board maybe have a different thought about the construction management plan, whether it works or it doesn't work. The question that's before the board tonight is this plan ready for the public to even hear? We don't agree or disagree with the application at this point, but have they checked all the boxes with scheduling the public hearing, yes or no? Does it indicate approval? Does it indicate leaning toward one way or the other? It just means we think they checked all the boxes and are ready for scheduled public hearing or not. So with that being said, any other questions about that? And when we frame it that way with the board, do you guys have any concerns about scheduling a public hearing for this one at this point?
Nope.
Okay, so I'm sensing we have a motion coming.
Sure. I'll make a motion to schedule a public hearing.
Motion from JD,
Second.
second from Walter. Walter?
Aye.
Jane is recused. John?
Aye.
Eileen?
Aye.
JD?
Aye.
Steve?
Aye.
And an aye from me. Okay, you're good to go.
Thank you. See you soon.
Okay. Next up is a brand-new application, which is new application proposed 2-4 Summerlin Lane, lot line modification from filed map 23-429, application subdivision PSD 26-1, location 2 and 4 Summerlin Lane, Briarcliff Manor, section block lot number is 98.11-3 and 8, zone R40, owner Joseph Lichtenstein, applicant Mark Eichen, engineer architect Ralph Mastro Monaco. Oh, I messed that name up, didn't I? I tried. Attorney Robert Davis Esquire. How do you say your last name?
My name's Robert Davis. That's the easy
Oh,
one.
that's the easy name.
Master Monaco.
All right. Well, I'll work on my my language skills a bit.
Fortunately, Mr. Mastromonaco's not here tonight.
Okay. You said it much better.
I'm Bob Davis of Singleton Davis and Singleton, attorneys for the applicant and owner, Joe Lichtenstein, who's with me tonight, along with Dan O'Connor, our engineer from Ralph Mastromonaco's office. Ralph is on vacation tonight. In essence, this is a simple boundary line change between two lots owned or controlled by our client. His house is located at 2 Summerland Lane, and the adjoining vacant lot to the rear is owned by a one-person LLC, which is him. There are no new lots or roads. We're only changing the lot line between two existing lots. Our client has resided at 2 Summerland with his family since 2015. The other lot is undeveloped, and there are no present plans to build on it. Essentially, our client has used it for 10 or more years as part of his backyard. The basic configuration of the lots and their access points on Sutherland will not change. They both remain corner lots. They both have frontage on Summerland and also on Washburn or Chappaqua Road. The location of a potential building area on the rear lot remains essentially the same. To answer Planner Cleary's comment about the irregular lot line, we can take a look at that. There might be a tweak or two we could make on that if necessary, but it was done with careful consideration of the existing structures and conforming setbacks and the placement of accessory structures where they should be on the lot with the house where they serve, rather than technically on a separate lot. Actually, the structures on which the line was based actually make it easier to know the location of the line than would ordinarily be the case. And we would submit that there's no really regularly shaped lots in this entire subdivision if you take a look at it. Accordingly, to answer another comment on the planner's memo, this is a type 2 action under SECRA. That's very clear under section 617.5 C16 of the SECRA regulations, because it's a, quote, lot line adjustment. And that's made clear very emphatically in the 2020 SECRA handbook. It explains that and makes it quite clear. So respectfully, this is not an unlisted action. By operation of law, as you know, as a type 2, it has no significant environmental impact and requires no review under SECRA per se. In essence, in this application, what's proposed is our client's lot will become a bit bigger. It will go from 0.585 acres to 0.93 acres, or 40,724 square feet. The rear lot, on the other hand, will decrease from 1.06 acres to 0.71 acres, or 30,992 square feet. And that's still larger than most of the lots in the subdivision, particularly those on the same side of the street, and larger than the current house lot as well. The main purpose of the application is to create a more usable backyard for our client's house lot, which was one of the smallest lots, if not the smallest lot, in the original 20-lot subdivision, so that it will be in effect if the rear lot is ever sold. There's no present plans to sell it, however. It also serves to resolve some code setback and location issues with respect to the existing accessory structures and some other, mainly the accessory shed. We've also been working on some stormwater and slope issues regarding work from years ago with the town engineer that's not directly related to the boundary line change. And I believe when, at the time, Mr. Mastromonaco left, it was our understanding that the engineer was satisfied with what he had done with respect to stormwater in particular. By way of background, these two lots are in the R40 zoning district, and they were part of a lot averaging or cluster subdivision which was approved by the planning board preliminarily in 1985, finally in 1988. And it's notable that there have been two prior re-subdivisions directly across the street from our property in 1992 and 2006, respectively. In that regard, to answer one of Mr. Cleary's comments, this board has been given a very blanket general omnibus authorization from the town board with respect to cluster authority. That's under various sections of the code A227-32B, 218-95B, A227-26C. And basically, under those code provisions, this board is authorized to make any reasonable change in zoning regulations. But in any event, this board back in the 80s has already declared this and deemed this to be a cluster subdivision. And we're only altering one lot line between two of the approved lots. One of them will become conforming with more than 40,000 square feet, and the other then will become lesser, vice versa to what it is currently. So this board is not limited under the code in looking at this particular application to issues of scenic preservation or natural resource presentation or scenic qualities, because those items were already determined in the 1985 subdivision with respect to the entire subdivision as a whole. And accordingly, the 1992 and 2006 subdivisions, which had a lot more going on than this particular lot line change, were not subject to seeking additional cluster approval in any way, shape, or form. Notably, however, our client has, in terms of beautification, has added over 460 trees and shrubs in the last 10 years to the property, along with a number of other decorative features. Our client's boundary line change will have no impact whatsoever on the two considerations that the board enunciated with respect to the 1985 cluster subdivision. One was to build the road, the subdivision road, on an easier grade, and the other was to maintain some wooded buffer area from the Deconic Parkway. Notably, it doesn't seem to be any open space in this particular subdivision at all. So we're not amending the entire subdivision. We're just changing one lot line, and that's a lot less than what happened in 2092 and 2006. In one case, a new lot was created for a pump station at that time, and in 2006, it even involved properties outside of this subdivision and gave one frontage on Summerland. So we're just changing one lot line. We don't need to come back and amend the entire subdivision, as has been suggested. Some towns don't even require a boundary line change like this to be approved. Croton, where Mr. O'Connor is from, is one of those. And the fact of the matter is, to require an amended subdivision plat, which no one does throughout the county for this type of boundary line change that happens all the time, would be effectively impossible, because you technically would need the approval of every lot owner of all of the 20 lots. This just requires in your code, a map that shows the two lots and the boundary line change. Under your subdivision regs, A227, this is a re-subdivision only because it involves a change of a line on an approved filed map. And re-subdivisions are treated like subdivisions under your code, but under A227-15G, since we don't have any new roads involved and we have less than 3 lots involved, this can be a minor subdivision under your code. And that includes a waiver, as you know, of preliminary approval, allows us to go straight to final. And we would ask you tonight to deem this to be a minor subdivision.
Okay, when was the subdivision created?
1985 and 88.
So that's probably one of the earliest cluster subdivision developments. It's been around for a long time. My take, though, on conversation about whether or not we can or cannot do that without the greater subdivision getting involved, you're the applicant's attorney, so obviously you have a perspective that may be different than town staff. I would like to have our town attorney to weigh in on whether or not we can actually do that in accordance to our town code.
I can understand that, and I was going to mention that, as Ms. Saraceno pointed out to us, you would like to have us respond in writing normally to the comments in the planning memo. We just got that today, and we will do that. And then maybe perhaps the the town's legal
But
representative to take a look.
I need Darius or his staff to weigh in on it because they represent the town legally. You represent the applicant legally, and you're
Correct.
representing a different perspective.
Mhm.
And my understanding is that we do have to get the greater subdivision involved when we do a lot line modification.
I would say that that's, with all respect, entirely incorrect.
Okay, well, we'll get a decision on that, and that'll
Yeah,
help us
because
make.
because as I said, this goes on all the time throughout Westchester County between some minor lot line change between two lots owned in common, if you will.
Yep.
And to follow verbatim the suggestion in the planner's memo would subject anyone in a subdivision like this who wants to do a change between two lots, even if they were different owners, you would technically need the approval of all of the other lot
So-
owners who are shown on the plat.
And I really don't, it's immaterial to me what the rest of Westchester County does. All I care about is what does the town code in Mount Pleasant say?
Understood, and
So-
that code was applied properly, I would suggest to you, in 1992 and 2006.
What he's trying to say is we have to hear from our town attorney to agree with you.
Absolutely, we would.
I'm not saying you're not telling us the truth, but we gotta hear from our town attorney
Yeah, we
first.
would welcome
And then
that.
we could get-
We would welcome that, and I would wait till we respond in writing to summarize what, what I've said tonight.
Okay.
But
Okay,
in
so-
any event, if you would like, we can take you a little bit through the graphic of the.
No, I don't think we need to go too much into it. I think that may happen naturally if there's a couple questions or comments from board members. I think we may get some questions, maybe not. I have one question, but I'll hold off on that. Any questions or comments on 2-4 Summerlin?
Yes, I have a comment. My comment is, my understanding is that because it's a cluster, this overrode the R40 zoning.
Correct.
And that's why this is different than a regular lot line adjustment on any other parcel in Westchester County.
That's the essence of the issue, and respectfully disagree with Mr. Davis. So there is no zoning that applies to those lots today, other than the cluster subdivision. They're changing a lot line within that cluster subdivision. Therefore, you have to approve the amendment to the cluster subdivision. I agree, it's a minor item, it looks fine, and I don't think there's any issues associated with it. It's just a procedural issue. So we'll have Darius review this, he'll offer his opinion with respect to this. We're arguing about procedure, not the merits of the
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Yeah, I think the issue is, it would perhaps be a technicality if it did not potentially implicate the need to have the approval of people who aren't part of the application
Well,
and
let's-
over whom we have no
At the end
control.
of the day, I think you're getting a feel from the board. We want to hear from our town legal representative.
Certainly.
So, any other comments or questions from board members?
Barring that and that aside, I have a question. What is sparking this right now? Do you have any violations? Because you said you want to move the lot line because of the shed. Was there a violation that came up?
Well, what happened was back in, I believe, October of 2021, before any of us were involved, Mr. Lichtenstein had done some of this work, including the location of the shed where it is, which is technically on the other lot. And the building inspector at the time sent him a letter, not a violation per se, but potential violations that the inspector wanted him to respond to. So he ultimately got us involved to take a look at them. For example, some things were already corrected. There were some instances of stone pillars for the driveway, stone wall, technically placed in the town right-of-way. Those have been removed. There were other issues raised. We could disagree with whether they were legally a problem or not, but there were issues of, there were stairs, for example, because this is kind of a slope lot. There were stairs that went between the lots, from one lot to the other. The main thing was probably the shed, and certain setbacks that have been rectified. So a large number, and I believe it's part of your submission, a copy of the building inspector's letter, or at least has reiterated in a memo that Mr. Mastromonaco did, where we addressed each of the issues that were raised, and most of them have already been corrected. Some of them we wanted to correct by way of this subdivision application. And the other thing is, with the original the original subdivision, the reason a lot of that occurred, and granted, there should have been, you know, permits secured at the time that weren't, even though the work is of a very high quality that was done there, as everyone has said. But this, as I mentioned, was one of the smaller lots, if not the smallest in the subdivision. So the lot line effectively ran like right behind the small patio that's
So what are
attached to the house.
So what are these accessory buildings that we have on the property now? These extra buildings, or these buildings that we built on, what do we build on the property why we're here tonight?
What has been built on the
Yeah,
property?
like,
The accessory buildings.
why do we have,
Shed,
why
what
do
else?
we,
A shed?
The shed is the only accessory building.
When was that built?
I'd have to ask Mr. Lichtenstein, when was the shed built? Many years ago, was it not?
Yeah, many years.
Permitted? You got it, and you had a permit for that, right?
Yeah, I had a permit, and may I just say, at the time.
come on up to the mic, sir.
I apologize. Good evening, everybody. At the time, I was handling it myself, and I went to the town, the building department, and I had the two properties, and, you know, which are contiguous, and I asked them where I could put it, where it could fit, and they suggested the location. And the location was on for Summerland, which I didn't think of separately in that sense, but they suggested the location. And I think later on, when someone looked at it, they said, oh, that's a problem. And, you know, one thing led to another. And then as the attorney indicated, I got a letter, and then COVID came, and then I hired them, and we're trying to rectify everything. But in terms of your question, Mr. Suma, also, it's much better for us to have a lot line that allows the house, the shed over here, and a playground over here, all on the property that's actually the house. You know, just, it's a very small lot otherwise. This is still a beautiful area to build
So
another house.
I have a question regarding that. So you're showing a driveway and a proposed house, right?
Yes,
You're saying that there is no intention to build right now?
not by me.
Right.
Yeah,
But potentially, once you get this lot line change, you could sell a lot to be built on.
Well,
I
that,
have no intention of doing that, just if I move from the house would be the only time.
Just right to the mic if you
I
can.
apologize.
I got the answer, but, so my question is, are there steep slopes on that second lot?
There are steep slopes on the second lot, but there's a building envelope that had actually, long before I was involved, back in '91, I think, was approved for a house. And there's actually a house, you know, that somebody had submitted to put on there. So there's a flat area that was a previously approved building envelope, which is still there. And it's a beautiful area to build a house, but I have no intention of building the house.
and the access way is exactly as it appeared on the original subdivision. That was always the case.
Okay.
I had forgotten the fact that someone had actually applied. We did a FOIL, and the town records had applied to build a house. I don't know why it fell through and they didn't, but they were putting it, I refer to it as more or less a plateau, relatively flat area.
Just, and I'm gonna step down, the house was actually approved, but they just never built it.
Okay. So at the end of the day, we need to hear from our town attorney.
Okay.
Or his representative.
Would I assume correctly that would wait until we actually file a written response, as we've been requested to do, to the planner's memo, so that they have our...
I'm not gonna,
Would help the,
that would be right.
And we'd be happy to discuss it further, too.
But in my opinion, just as one board member, we're not ready to make any decision in terms of public hearing until we get that clarification. That's just
I
me. The
understand.
other board members may think differently.
I understand.
Okay, any final questions or comments?
The report, the response from Mr. Mastromonaco was comprehensive. Was it at all relevant for the subdivision? Okay, I was like, there was a lot there, and I was like, who cares, who
Yeah.
cares? You know, it was
I would say
illustrative,
it's
but it
not.
wasn't relevant for the lot. Okay.
No. In part, it answered Mr. Suma's question. We thought there might be some questions that would arise related to that. I call it a tangential, relatively tangential matter.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for coming out tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next up, we have item number 6 under new application. So it's a brand-new application. Proposed 24 Rutledge construction of a pool, retaining walls, patio, and deck to create usable rear yard. Application steep slopes PLSS 26-5, location 24 Rutledge Road, Valhalla, New York. Section block lot numbers 112.20-2-15, zone R20. Owner is Anthony Cruz Jr. Applicant engineer is Cacciapelli Engineering.
Yes,
Welcome. Thank you for coming out tonight.
absolutely. Good evening. Greg Cacciapoli, engineer on the project, 24 Rutledge Drive. Basically, the job is the construction of a proposed pool with a pool patio. We are disturbing some steep slopes to construct retaining walls and create a level rear yard. The owner would like to create the rear yard because she has 3 kids. They play soccer. Right now, it's very steep back there. So, you know, we made an effort to create usable space for the yard and for the pool and the pool patio.
I'm
We
not sure
did-
the pool is gonna be much help for soccer, but.
No, but there is a yard adjacent to it, right, that did require additional walls to, which is part of the disturbance.
What's, I forget now, what's behind that house? The more houses?
No,
Oh, that goes down to the reservoir, right?
right, there is the
Okay.
reservoir, yes. So, basically, there's also a sewer easement. I know that there's an access road that goes behind the property, in between the reservoir and her property, that could be used to access that easement, because we looked into that as well in the design process. And that's pretty much.
Can you just review how much walls are we building? How big and how tall and how long?
Yeah.
You could just
So-
speak to it.
Okay, well, there's, along the rear, we needed multiple walls, because it slopes from 60 to about 78 at the back of the house, so there's 18 feet to make up and about 70 feet horizontally. So we have 2 6-foot walls off the easement that are separated by about 6 feet at the back. That's the highest it gets. On the sides, it gets up to, down to 4 feet and then to 0 as you approach the home.
Those are good-sized walls.
Yeah, they are, and
So you need a variance for those, yeah?
I believe no, it's only if it's 6 feet in the side.
6 feet in the, oh, you have 6 feet in the rear, 4 on the side.
Right.
Yeah, the issue with this, as with any time we have retaining walls that run the entire width of the property, is that you're completely severing any upland relationship to the downland portion of the property. So typically, if there are ways to grade the edges or modify the wall so that it's not a complete wall across the entire property, that's more appropriate. And the reason it's a little more sensitive in this case is because you're adjacent to watershed land. So for
Yeah,
example, if
that's-
you're adjusting the flow of water from your property that would go to the watershed, but now it's not, it's going in the other direction, that may be a concern. So
Yeah,
we'd ask you, Greg, if you could look at the design of the wall so that it's not,
so close to the property line and
Because,
try and.
because
Oh,
the DEP would have to be notified if we were moving forward, because they're
No matter what,
they're an adjoining property owner.
right.
So they would be notified, and I don't know, I don't work for the DEP, nor do I know anything what they do, but they may have concerns about the walls being next to the DEP and things coming down the hill, down to them. Like how are you doing your drainage, how you're doing all that kind of good stuff.
Sure. Erosion
So-
control protection.
So, because basically you have a piece of property is it all grass going down that hill? What's behind the house
Yeah, I
now?
didn't see any tree, like, how many
There's-
trees are gonna be removed?
There is a tree line, right, pretty much at the sewer easement. There's no trees prior to that, so there's limited tree removals as a result of this project, which is why there's not many shown on the plan.
I mean, it's a benefit to be next to that property, but it's also a detriment from, in this case. I'm sure you have a nice view in the winter of the reservoir, but we have to be super careful with what we're doing. next to the reservoir property. And they would positively would be notified if we were to schedule a public hearing.
That's fine, I mean,
So I think we need to think about, are there ways to soften that wall and the structure of the wall and to make sure that we're not creating a problem for the DEP?
is it the wall or just like the grading and the disturbance?
Both.
All right,
In my opinion, I don't know what other board members think, but I think both of them are probably going to raise red flags. I'm predicting the DEP may get a little bit involved. They want to
Right.
dig into it.
So, Pat, what would be the process here? Because we really do need to hear from the DEP before we can do anything.
We do, but I think we would want to give the applicant an opportunity to take that into consideration.
Yes.
And if there's modifications they can make
Right.
first, so he presents the best opportunity, the best case to be.
Is it
Yeah.
difficult for him to speak to someone from DEP?
It can be challenging,
Yeah.
but we can facilitate that.
okay.
We'll try to help.
Yeah, and I did speak to the owner briefly about moving, because I did get some comments from Mr. Cleary about moving the wall off the property line. I don't think there's any problems with that, so we will come back with an adjusted plan
Okay.
to alleviate that.
All right, well, thank you. You're becoming one of our regulars on the board.
I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
Thank you for coming out.
No problem. Have a good night.
Thank you. Okay, so next up, I think is, a lot going on up here. Next up, make sure I'm not missing anybody, no. Next up is the last one, 640 Hardscrabble subdivision of existing lot for the purpose of building a new single-family dwelling on the new rear lot. Application subdivision PST 26-5, location 604 Hardscrabble Road, section block lot numbers 99.10-2-25, zone R40, owner Travis Elliott Bradley, applicant architect Michael Piccarello. Welcome, thank you for coming out tonight.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Nicholas Shariah. I'm with Hudson Engineering. Alongside me is Michael Piccarello, the architect on the project. And the good-looking couple behind us is Travis and Alexis Elliott. They're the owners of the property. They wish to subdivide their 2.82 acre lot into 2 lots. Right now there's an existing single-family home and a barn existing on the property. They wish to keep both those structures, and the new subdivided lot is a new house for them. So they're basically building a new house on the new lot. Both lots will have private, sorry, let me just go through a second. Sorry about that. So both lots will have private utilities for on-site wastewater treatment, so there's sewer, there will be septic on both lots. The existing house is served by a well. I'm sorry, you're fine.
You said there's sewer and septic, right?
No, so both lots will be serviced by a septic system. There is no sewer there.
There's no sewer.
No, sorry about that. Sorry, I didn't mean to confuse you guys. So we're showing septic fields for both homes, as well as private wells servicing both lots for water service. Electric will be by Con Ed, and propane for gas on both lots. The construction will result in about 5 trees being removed, and the new lot will be serviced, or access for the new lot will be serviced by a private shared road to the left of this property. We're proposing access for a new driveway off of that existing road. The steep slope disturbance for the new lot is located in this area here. For the new driveway, we're proposing about 2,500 square feet of steep slope disturbance for this project.
No, I think there was a couple zoning issues, right? Setback requirements, or no?
No, they're good from a zoning perspective. It's just the numbers need to be clarified. but
Oh,
they're
the other one I'm
conforming.
thinking about, okay.
They're conforming.
Yeah,
Can I ask
the project is completely zoning compliant.
This is before us for subdivision only, not the site plan.
Correct,
When the other lot gets developed, it'll be back for a steep slope permit.
that's correct.
So right now,
I mean, theoretically, you could grant the steep slope permit in anticipation of doing that, and they could save the time to do that.
yeah, if they know that's what they want to build, then they should file a steep slope permit and we can fold it into this.
Yep.
Now, you referred to the access point as a road. Is that a private road, or is
Yes.
it a shared driveway? What is that?
So it's a private road. It does have access for two other lots. 619 is on this side, and I believe there's another house in the back. I'm not sure what the number is on the back lot. Do you?
Sorry, Alexis Elliott.
Can you just come up to the mic?
Yes.
Sure.
People actually watch us who have insomnia.
Hi. So this is actually an easement granted to our property from our neighbors 608 back here. The easement is for egress and ingress towards our garage, the existing frame barn that we use right now. And we would be proposing using the easement that we currently use, and just constructing a new driveway up to the new house and the existing barn. The easement is currently only used by 608, although I do believe 619, which is our neighbor's mother, also has access.
And we have all the easement documents.
Yes,
I
that's
saw
correct.
that, I just didn't read it all.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you for coming up.
So yeah, hope that cleared that up. As I was saying before, like all the lots are, or both proposed lots are code compliant as far as what we're seeking to do. We have done testing for the septic fields with the county, so we already have that underway. We've designed basically for a 6-bedroom house on this lot, and septic fields for the existing dwelling here as well. So.
Okay. And by the way, you took extensive notes in your paper, so geez, he's got a lot of notes on this, so it's pretty good.
We had a little powwow outside, so I was trying to
Oh, good.
be thorough.
Okay, so the question we have before us tonight is not, do we schedule a public hearing? It's a different question for us is, do we want to declare ourselves as lead agency for this or not?
Yes, it requires you to deal with seeker on this. You can start the process by designating the agency. And there's really only two relatively minor issues with respect to the project. The roadway, the surface of the roadway within the easement. You have to have the fire department take a look at it to see if it needs any improvements. And there's a weird thing, Nick, the Catskill Aqueduct cuts through the
Yes.
property and you've got your well.
Yes,
near
it
there.
does. So, in speaking with the architect and with the owners, we do have room to move that well, shown back here, closer to the house. We can be within 10 feet of the house itself, so.
And I don't know that it's, a bad location.
Right.
It's just that the DEP, who controls the aqueduct, may want to.
They may wanna see.
Setback or something. I think
Maybe you
so.
could tap right into it.
I was gonna say, how ironic.
That'd be amazing. Michael has actually been in contact with DP. We're yet to hear from them, but we're looking into that to provide more information to the board so they can make a decision. But we do have some wiggle room on the property. It's a vast property. We have room to move things around
Yeah.
if necessary. So.
Okay, so the question is, do we want to be lead agency or not? And I will say, for the applicants or the owners, it's always better to have a cup of coffee with your neighbors and tell them what's coming down the road.
We've spoken to them already. They're fully supportive.
Okay.
They know that there's a public hearing process, and our neighbors at Mount Pleasant police officers already volunteered to come and speak if that's helpful.
Okay.
Sign a letter or whatever. And then it's just about who's on the other side, so things are in agreement.
Okay, all right. Okay, so we are at the point now, unless there's any questions or comments from board members, we need to make a decision. Do we want to do start the secret process by designating ourselves as lead agency?
I make a motion to designate ourselves as lead agency.
Wait, one question, are we lead agency for the subdivision?
Yes.
What if we want to fold in the steep slope permit for a site plan? Can we do
So,
that
Not
separately?
subject to secret.
Oh, not subject to okay.
Okay, so we have a motion from John on the floor.
Second?
Second from Eileen. Walter?
Aye.
Jane?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Eileen?
Aye.
JD?
Aye.
Steve?
Aye.
And an aye from me. Okay, good. You're good to go.
Thank you so much.
Enjoy-
May I ask
enjoy
the
the-
board a question
Yes.
regarding? I just wanted to clarify something. You guys mentioned site plan, review. Is that so? We'll be coming back for the steep slope permit, correct?
Correct.
So
It's-
you
Okay.
can
It-
obtain approval for the site, so there is no site plan approval required for a single.
Just for
family.
steep slope permits.
So you
Yeah.
can obtain a steep slope permit
Mhm.
that locks you into that site plan. So
I
if
see.
you're not convinced that that's exactly what you want to build, if you came in to file a building permit,
Yeah.
and you have a different steep slope impact, you have to get a new steep slope permit.
So that's kind of where I was leading with my question. So the driveway itself, 'cause it's new, kind of. So we're trying to figure out if this is the best driveway to go with, and we might change it based on how the steep slopes shake out. So we're trying to see if maybe if you guys want to see the driveway on here right now, maybe we revisit that at some point after subdivision.
It's your decision.
It's your
not
decision.
their decision. It's
Okay,
your
got it.
decision.
Okay.
We have enough
Understood.
decisions up here, so
Yeah.
we'll leave that with you.
Okay.
All right, thank you for coming out tonight.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes. They always say don't sell past the sale.
Michael Piccarello, MAP Architects, representing my clients. So again, the question is of process. So yes, we're gonna fold in whatever steep slopes permit we need, we're gonna fold it into this process so that we can continue moving forward. The question would be, public hearing, because of the nature of the comments that we've had before us from Pat, could it be done to basically move the public hearing as soon as possible, especially if steep slopes is not gonna hold us up as,
It's up to,
Well, fast as possible sometimes is not always better.
So number one, we couldn't have the public hearing for 30 days because of the seeker circulation anyway.
Okay.
So by then, you will know if you're making any modifications or changes to the plan.
Sure.
And at that point, we can schedule a public hearing.
so we'd be back next.
Confirm lead agency to schedule a public hearing.
And it depends on, Mount Pleasant's agenda is packed. And we'd like to wrap this up every meeting by 10 o'clock if we can. So if you
Just
have,
one other thing, Mr. Chairman, sorry to interrupt.
Yep.
Normally, you wouldn't set a public hearing until Dave Smith signs off on it as well. So I don't think we've got Dave to sign off yet.
so we,
More comments.
No comments, yeah. So
Okay.
but I,
get Dave, get your comments.
Got it.
I leave the administrative decision of what goes on the agenda. The only thing I ask our town staff to do is make sure that we're not going to be here all night long. So we do have a backlog of applications from all across the town. So just keep that in mind.
I'm just trying to make some that for you yourselves and for
Yeah.
us.
No, thank you very much.
So your question is basically, are you gonna have one public hearing for both items?
Correct.
Okay.
We're trying
It's
to
up
ball
to
it up
you,
into
yeah.
a neat little box.
Yep.
And basically get approvals as swiftly as possible.
Right.
Without, make shortcuts. To try to capture the building season and.
So the answer is yes, you can do that, but it's up to you guys if you have all your information
Got
together.
it. I think we're waiting for Dave to
Yeah.
have comments anyway, so, okay.
thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for coming out tonight.
Motion to adjourn.
Yeah, motion to adjourn, but hold on for a couple minutes. I gotta tell you. So, hi Joe.